What's this? A week where we get Nintendrone salt? Instead of pony salt?
Impossible.
Huh. I guess those UFOs the government shut down were actually Nintendrone behavior inhibitors. Welcome everyone to yet another installment of Tales from the T.F.T.T.P, the series where we clown on morons for entertainment, and on today's menu is the damage control for Tears of the Kingdom, because just in case you missed it, Nintendo had a direct this past week, and it was alright. They showed Pikmin 4, which is cool for people who like that franchise. We got a couple interesting games smothered between shovelware.
And you're in luck. Tons of people are seeking the latest trends. Give them a like if you dig their style. Or suggest new outfits for them.
Hold on a second. Charlie?
Yes!
Are you goddamn kidding me?
They just decided to stealth drop Metroid Prime 1 remaster, which looks like it got more care and effort put into it than Nintendo's last two remasters. And some more gameplay for Tears of the Kingdom. Unfortunately, it was also revealed afterwards that Tears of the Kingdom will be $70 USD at launch.
Are you goddamn kidding me?
The first of Nintendo's first parties to be priced at that price point. Man, Nintendo really wants Yuzu and Ryujinx to thrive, don't they?
Rise, my glorious creation. Rise.
So of course you have fanboys who were more than likely very vocal against the $70 pricing of games are now suddenly okay with it. Because remember folks, fanboys don't play games, they play Twitter. Now without further ado,
Get on with it, man. Nintendo has confirmed Zelda Tears of the Kingdom pricing. In addition to the standard version, which will be available at a suggested retail price of $69.99, the collector's edition will release on launch day at a suggested retail price of $129.99. And I'll be buying both!
I mean if you want to waste your money and reward Nintendo, go ahead, but I don't want to see you denouncing other games at $70 when you're willing to pay that price for a game that more than likely won't even be able to match its frame rate to the price tag.
Whoever is disappointed by this, get your money up!
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'll tell you what I will do though. I'll fire up Yuzu and Ryujinx and await the inevitable leak of the ISP and play Tears of the Kingdom for the cool price of free. If Nintendo has the audacity to raise the price of their first party games when they don't even run well, then why should I give them money for a subpar product?
I don't pay $70 because of graphics and frame rate. Cool, stay at home with your graphics and frame rate. I'll pay $70 to take my Game of the Year anywhere with me and play it at home or on the road when I want to.
Congratulations. You have invented a new kind of stupid.
You realize frame rate is intrinsically linked to a person's enjoyment of a game, correct? You may want to pretend it doesn't matter to you, but let's be honest, it does. It's just a matter of how low your standards are. Would you be saying the same thing if the game constantly dipped into the low 20s? How about sub 20s? You know what, screw it. Let's have Nintendo cap the next Zelda after Tears to 10 FPS, because it doesn't matter to you, right? I mean, it's not like higher frame rate reduces input latency and creates a smoother experience, right? Besides, Game of the Year already dropped and it cost $30.
All of you are gonna buy it, so shut the f*** up!
だが断る.
You're all getting in the ass by corporations, so you aren't allowed to complain about it. What sound logic? It's not as if backlash can cause companies to reverse their anti-consumer decisions, right? No, that never happened.
Anything else?
People in the replies saying it ain't worth it, like the first one wasn't one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time, higher than any major first-party release in the past decade.
There are maybe 3 games in existence that could justify a $70 price tag. Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Elden Ring. And none of these games were $70. People said the exact same thing about The Last of Us 2, and that was one of the worst pieces of shit I've ever played. I got news for you. Critic scores are worthless. Stop taking them with any ounce of sincerity.
One question I have, why aren't digital titles sold at less considering the cost of manufacturing and transport aren't necessarily factors in play?
This guy knows what I'm talking about.
I can answer that. Corporate greed. That's it. There's no real reason considering how massively profitable the industry actually is, to the point where they are still posting record sales numbers year after year before the $70 price tag, and now it's going to become even more profitable at the expense of the consumer. and we're all supposed to just be okay with it.
You've got a dick in me. You've got a dick in me.
Everyone will whine and then buy it anyway. If any game is worth 70, it's this one.
I'm sorry, and you know that how you played it? Or are you just assuming so because it's a Nintendo product? I've bashed PlayStation fanboys for saying this, so you bet your ass I'm going to bash you too. No game is worth 70. If they were, they wouldn't go on sale as fast as some of them already have. Gotham Knights and Need for Speed Unbound, both of which had sales down to $35 to $45 within a couple months of release. You know, it's almost as if the price increase doesn't reflect the quality of the product. It reflects the amount of extra money going into the exec's pockets.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Unlike everyone else, I don't cry and bitch about the price of games. Buying the collector's edition anyway.
Go ahead, put on the nose, since you'll be needing it more than me.
Unlike everyone else, I have zero standards and will happily slurp up Nintendo's piss and pretend it's champagne. There, fixed it for ya. That'll be $70, please.
Just pay the $70, nerds. Games being $60 for 3 decades, offering 20 to 40 hours of entertainment. Movies have doubled in price for 2 to 3 hours of entertainment. People crying about a $10 price hike in 3 decades are laughable.
I just love arguments like these because it just shows how they like to conveniently leave out context to support their arguments. There are 2 things wrong with the inflation argument. Number 1, they always bring up prices of SNES games and NES games. However, they fail to realize that SNES games, Game Boy games, hell, a vast majority of games back in the day were made on cartridges, which are significantly more costly to produce due to the materials needed to create them. Hence why the market quickly shifted to disc-based production. 2. The industry was nowhere near as massive and profitable back then as it is today. Every single major video game corporation, and yes, fanboys, this includes Nintendo, have made record profits in the billions year after year due to 2 factors. Number 1 is the obvious blow-up in industry popularity, and number 2, moving from cartridges to disc-based production, which means lower cost of labor as it's significantly easier to burn code onto a disc than it is to handcraft every single cartridge, which reduces labor costs, which results in higher profit returns. Hell, disc-based game consoles like the PS1 and original Xbox games were priced at $49.99, while their cartridge counterparts went from $49.99 to as much as $69.99 due to the production costs. If anything, due to digital distribution, less incentive for physical copies due to lack of physical items, maps, manuals, etc., and the overall reach of the industry, we should be paying less than $60 if I'm being quite honest here, especially given the sheer number of full-price games that come out buggy, broken, or in some cases, just straight up unfinished.
Your Honor, cry about it.
Anyone saying this extra $10 is going to stop them from buying it was not going to buy it in the first place.
No, we just don't like wasting money on an arbitrary price increase that only exists to further line the pockets of higher-ups and in no way affects actual game production. But please, keep on coping, it just means more content for me.
I thrive off negativity. Anything negative, I'm for it.
The ignorant dummies saying it's running at 540p 15 FPS. Meanwhile, they're paying $70 for a Call of Duty game.
Hey, you know what? At least the Call of Duty game can run up to 120 FPS and graphically looks like it justifies the price. Not that you ever should buy a COD game at full price, as they always go down in price a few months later, but you realize the 540p 15 FPS comments are jokes about the Switch's terrible performance, right? And besides, let's not pretend we haven't seen Switch games get ridiculously close to 15 FPS, like Age of Calamity, a game that runs so badly it's actually recommended to play it in handheld mode, as that reduces the amount of enemies on screen and in turn reduces the amount of frame drops. Unless you're playing Urbosa.
this is Twitter, so my main point always goes over people's head. But when it pertains to $70 games, I wish people actually listened to what I said instead of thinking the price was the issue. $70 was never the issue. The issue was the games themselves.
Interesting take, Blandrew. I sure hope there aren't any tweets that showcase your hypocrisy due to the game in question being a Nintendo game.
I can get 30 rare games for $30, but 2 Neo games are $70. Talk about anti-consumer. $70 warriors out here strong today, I see. $70 games absolutely should get reviewed more harshly moving forward if they're gonna charge that much.
This is 4K! How did they get you in 4K?
Wow, would you look at that? Blandrew apparently couldn't keep that same energy for his sacred cow Nintendo. Now, while the first tweet could be regarded as a joke due to the usage of the Halo emoji, the fact that there were follow-up tweets that are almost certainly said in sincerity both years after the initial says to me he was in fact outwardly against $70 being the new price point. So, shouldn't Tears of the Kingdom, by your own admission, Blandrew, be reviewed more harshly? Because I'm sorry, I do not believe that game will run well. They are taking the base map of Breath of the Wild, which already had frame problems to begin with, albeit fairly minor apart from the forest, but now you're going to inject entire sky islands and even more complexity to the sandbox with what appears to be vehicle crafting. Take that and put it all on the already outdated Switch hardware, and it's a recipe for disaster. You want to know the real reason Zelda is $70? They're future-proofing the price. Because as we all know, Nintendo games almost never drop in price. Even today, Breath of the Wild is still $60. Even with sales, they'll go down to maybe $10 on their store. So, when the inevitable next-gen Nintendo console comes out, the game will be appropriately priced in their mind to the power of the new console. They know damn well the game shouldn't be priced $70, but know they can get away with it because it's Zelda. Why do you think Pikmin 4 is only $60? Hell, Nintendo loves to charge full price for lazy remasters like Skyward Sword, and yet Metroid Prime Remastered, a remaster that is a higher quality than Skyward Sword, is only $40. They're charging you $70 because they know you guys will look the other way because it's Zelda. And hey, you want to spend the $70? Go right ahead. Just know you forfeit any right to complain about performance or any other title being $70 because we warned you. And you know what? With that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've reached the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and subscribe if you so choose to. As always, to stay up to date on all things crab, you can follow me on Twitter via the link in the description below. And if you want to join the Discord, you can do so via the link in the description below. And I'll see you all in the next video.